everyone. Desmos is accepting your artwork. It could be a graph from this calculator you're looking at here. It can be a 3D graph. It's one of the newer features, or you can also submit geometry. I have not made any tutorials or any videos on geometry, and so that is something on my list. But it's something that I want to let you know that if you have Desmos art that they're happy with and would like to submit it, yeah, you have until January 15th of next year, 2025, to submit it. That said, I am working on something on Desmos. This is not going to be a tutorial. There are going to be steps skipped. But for those of you who would like to get ideas on something that you can do, I went on to Pixabay. Admittedly, this is an AI generated cat image, and weirdly, this was one that I actually liked, not just because it's cartoon, but it's also because these shapes look very, very simple. Well, not incredibly simple, but it's manageable enough to take on. I've already done some setup. I've already imported the image, set the opacity to something that's not solid, so it doesn't get in our way, and also center the wine glass towards the center. The plan is to model all the big shapes and just set them off to the side. And so after this glass is done, set off to the side, do the sunglasses, set off to the side, and build this image in layers. Starting with the wine glass, already I like to use an ellipse for the top, and something to keep in mind if you're also looking to do something like this is if you're using a reference, you don't have to like follow it exactly. This is meant to help you get your shape looking right, but this isn't a tracing exercise. All right, and so this radius is already looking pretty promising. So you want to shorten the Y piece. Do it by multiplying that. Let's also move this up a little bit. So move it up. And this X, we can also shrink it down a little bit. So for conic sections, rather than experimenting like this, where you're putting whole numbers, it'll help you in the long term to use numbers that you know what the square root is going to be. And so, in fact, rather than going down on this route, I'm gonna write things like 3 squared, 4 squared, so that it's explicit on what the width of it is, or yeah, what the dimensions are, so that if you want to calculate the exact intersection, and you already have this extra piece of information with you. I mean, yes, you can square root the number in front, but it is a lot easier to have the originating number in your hands. So that said, I think I'm going to go with this number, and this is a sharp corner, and I do not fancy making a sharp corner, and so actually I might be gonna have a change of heart here. Solve for x. This is 1 minus 1.1 squared. All right, divide the whole thing by 4 squared. Take the square root of it. Add 0.5. So now we can steal this information, take the negative of it, and then adjust the y component. And so let's make the y component a little squishier at the top. That's close enough. Let's now make the glass body. So this one, let's start the line. We want to start it somewhere about here, but then we want to get it approximately around this point here. I want to do a bit of math off camera, and then I'll populate in the fields. All right, I've done a bit of organizing as well and finished the rest of the body. As you can see here, I've defined some variables where you can slide this around. I still need to do the other ones. But the y variable is in place. You can do something like this. Let's fill in the rest of the x variables. So now, at any point, we can simply slide the wine glass over and work on the next piece. We have that freedom. Let's put this back to 0. Y0 is back at 5 or 0.5. Let's graph the body, or not the body, but the handle. So for this one, let's keep it simple. X is 1 and x is minus 0.1. And then for this piece, I think we can get by with the hyperbola. We don't need to worry about this being vertically straight. We'll just grab the intersection when we graph the ellipse. All right, we have 1 plus x squared minus, we'll get the hyperbola facing downwards. Give it another color so it's easier to see. Let's move it down by 2.5. That's too much. All right, we will stretch this. Maybe a little more. All right, that's fine. Now we can add an ellipse at the bottom. If you want to add a bit of thickness, go for it. Actually, I think I might do that. One minus x squared, that gets you an ellipse. We want the other side of it. Let's move it down. In fact, it's easier to get the top aligned with where we want it, because as when we scale it down on the y-axis, it'll scale up this way. And so let's move it down to where we think fits. We'll start squishing it. All right, now we can start scaling it down on the y-axis. It should be this way. And we'll shift this down by a tiny bit more. Let's squish it some more. Let's duplicate this, and then we'll just move this down to match with the bottom piece there. And then we can maybe not. I think we stretch this some more. So rather than trying to scale it down, we go the other way. All right, and we can add some more vertical lines to cut it off. We don't have to cut off here exactly. It may be easier to just cut off a little earlier. Again, we don't have to follow this exactly. All right, 0.7 is good enough, so we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to clean this off cam, and I'll show you when it's done. I have disabled the reference image so it's not getting in our way, and you can see the wine glass completes. Granted, there is still some cleanup to do, but now we're able to simply sit off to the side and work on next element. That's something I'm going to do off cam. I'm not going to record it, but plan is to, once that's done, submit it over to Desmos for review. I encourage you all to do the same thing. Get a 2-for-1 here. If you have homework to do, submit it to both their class and on Desmos. And if any teachers are watching, maybe whoever gets featured gets some bonus points. All right. So if you have any comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the process, the witness part of it. And I'll see you next video. I'll see you.